Just over a year ago, our local music community lost one of its most beloved sons, Kevin Dyers. When I realized that a year had gone by since we lost him, I knew I had to speak on this and what a big and terrible impact it has had on our music community. Kevin was an amazing and inspiring person. Ask anyone who knew him, and they would tell you the same thing. Those who knew him very well would usually describe him in terms of brother figure. He was that to his close friends and to the rest of us. He was like a patron saint of heavy music in Seattle. He hosted a metal radio show as well as a local music show where tirelessly championed local bands. He gave them the platform of big radio, and that's a rare thing. He was one of the most supportive people in the scene, and the endless amount of musicians that have acknowledged how vital he was, and as both a driving force in the local scene and as a friend. No amount of words I say here can do him justice he deserves. So if you didn't know him, I urge you to look him up and perhaps check out an article like this obituary written by our local music newspaper, The Stranger. And please know that his loss will forever be felt by an entire community, even beyond our city. Let's share a moment of silence for our friend Kevin and all the others who have dealt with crises in the same manner. And lastly, if you or anyone have feelings of crises or are contemplating suicide, please use the information on your screen to call or speak to someone. Loss by suicide leaves an unimaginable amount of pain and grief behind. Let's help one another. Let's help one another get through this so we don't have to have as many of these situations.
All right. Thanks for doing that, Joel.
Yeah, man. Thanks for agreeing to platform it. It was, I think it needed to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hope I did justice. That's all I know. I just hope I
did. I think you did. And, just seeing how many people have been impacted by Kevin's passing and everything he meant to the community is powerful. And so I think doing this is the least we can do. And I think it was important. So.
Absolutely. So I think it's done. I mean, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first of all, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Backstage with Ian and Joel, where we take you backstage into the world of music to discuss the many different ways it impacts our lives. In this episode, we kind of want to touch on episode 1 with Adrian Way. We're going to talk about a couple current topics that we think are important and we want to highlight them. And we're going to talk about a few guests we have coming up, lined up, and some topics and other segments we're going to be talking about in the near future. How you doing, Joel?
I'm doing all right, man. I had to go to wardrobe real quick.
Okay, gotcha.
But hey, I got a different sweatshirt today, so
all right, there you go.
I got tired of my Bernie sweatshirt.
I got my Molokai t-shirt on from when Melissa and I lived on the little tiny island of Molokai for a while.
Oh man, that's amazing because not a lot of people get to live on Molokai.
Just us and Eddie Vedder, and obviously all the indigenous local people that got screwed over.
Yeah, that's been a hell of a barbecue. Yeah, so let me see. What do I want to talk about? I'll tell you what. Since a few times already on here, since we started this, you've kind of called me the doom and gloom guy of the music industry or the music news. I want to share some news. Let's see, some positive news. First of all, one of my favorite musicians, Jeff Tweedy, He wrote a crossword puzzle, a rock and roll crossword puzzle.
This guy right here?
Yes, sir. That's him. He was in Wilco and one of my very favorite bands, Uncle Tupelo. Yeah, he wrote a rock and roll themed crossword for the New York Times. How's that? That's not a thing I normally see, with music people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. If you're writing lyrics and you care about the craft of writing music, it would make sense for you to.
And in the story, he says, sorry to cut you. I didn't mean to do that. But in the story, he says that he's a crossword junkie. So, which I get. My mom was one of those, man. They were like the 70s and 80s, there were crossword puzzle magazines just piles of them on the living room table. But she had just blown through them all. I was just like, damn.
My dream is to get to a point where I can wake up and do a crossword puzzle every morning. And not check my email, not answer any phone calls, just sit for like an hour and just do crossword puzzles and drink a cup of coffee.
Dude, you should look into this Jeff Tweedy one. This would be a good way to do that for you. Let's see, what else do I have? I'm trying to remember because I forgot one thing, but I do know another thing. There's a band I'm totally in love with right now. They're called Surfboard. They've been around for a while. They have and just absolutely colorful and punk as hell lead singer named Danny, and she's insane and cool and dorky and awesome all at the same time. This band has really done it for me. They are kind of an embodiment of what a punk should be like, kind of Dada-esque and kind of, daring and tongue-in-cheek and all these things. So anyway, big ups to them.
Cool.
Love that band. And they got a new record that just came out in Punk News. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that's pretty cool.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So that's the fun stuff. And then I'm just gonna come out with it because before it becomes the elephant in the room. There's a couple topics that you and I have been talking about that I feel like I would like to address in not right away. We're just going to talk about it, dissect it all right now, but over the course of time, we're going to keep coming back and forth with these topics of the shuttered venues in the UK, the NEVA report of the state of venues in the US, and then the other one is because creativity is going to have to take over it to solve this problem. Is the fact that liquor, the traditional model has been that the gate, however you want to say it, pays for the show, and the liquor helps the venue pays the staff. Takes their profit, all these things. That's the model. Well, there is a 20 to 30% drop, at least 20 to 30% drop in liquor sales. It is due to Gen Z, for instance, being partially due, I want to say, to being more health minded and just not being into liquor, and more power to them on that.
And this is a model that it's not this way everywhere. I think it's important to point that out. In other countries like France and Canada, it's not exactly this model, and it's not the venues aren't completely dependent on alcohol sales.
No,
like in other countries, like they are here. A lot of the bars. And tying into this conversation is this story that came out yesterday in The Stranger about Freakout Festival not happening this year. And reading through this, Freakout Festival, for those that don't know, I think it's been around 13 years. Takes place in Ballard and in a lot of smaller clubs, like you said, at the Tractor.
Yeah,
It
takes over a neighborhood basically.
Yeah, basically it takes over the neighborhood
and
it
utilizes all the venues on that street. There's in this neighborhood of Ballard, there's a street with like 3-4 venues, and it takes all those. Plus, it utilizes some non-venue spaces because it blew up that big.
Yep. And the thing with this festival is that they were getting grant money from the city to put this festival on, and that allowed them to keep ticket prices low or free. But because of the financial instability with all the shit that's going on right now, they're not sure they're going to have the grant money they need to put on a successful festival. And when you're booking a festival, you need to know your budgets way in advance because you're paying more money for bands to come out than normal typically. And we'll get into that. Like when you fly a band out for a single date, you're paying a lot more than if they're already routed through on a scheduled tour.
Yeah, people that go to festivals, I mean, let's just be real about this. And this is something to know. Festivals kind of took over.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, for sure, 15 maybe. But the thing about it is, it's usually a bigger payday for bands. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's why bands have been clamoring to festivals. Obviously the exposure is bigger, everything is bigger. So during festival season, a lot of small venues would kind of take a hit. However, it would kind of bounce back because after the festivals were over, a lot of those bands would go out as headliners. So then
specifically, I remember when Warped Tour went away.
Yeah.
Because when I first started promoting shows, Warped Tour was the big summer thing.
Yeah.
And everybody knew that those bands would be coming back in the fall. And it was kind of like, okay, summer's already tough in the Northwest because it's sunny. People are outside. The sun doesn't go down until 10 o'clock sometimes. So sometimes it was harder to get people through the door, but you would be like, okay, festival season is summer. All those bands are coming back in the fall. And so you kind of lived with it and you knew that it was going to benefit you in the long run. Then Warped Tour went away. A lot of these other festivals have gone away. Like how many festivals? I mean, what was there? Sasquatch Festival's gone. Just a bunch of festivals in the Northwest have gone away in the last 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because the model is like crazy. Like you're paying so much money for these headliners and everybody's trying to one up the other festival or whatever. And it's just not a sustainable model.
Right. Which is why costs of festivals have gone outrageous.
Exactly. And luckily, like in Seattle, Bumbershoot like saw that happening. And they've tried to, I don't know how successful they are. I don't know financials or whatever, but they've tried to rein it in a little bit because ticket prices were nuts. They were like insane.
No, there's a different organization on it now. They just announced their lineups not too long ago.
Yep.
They got really strong lineups back.
Yep.
That festival has had a kind of a interesting, sort of lifespan in terms of it was going super strong for so long on the old traditional model, and then that became really hard for the nonprofit that was running it to sustain it. Like I said, there's a new team on there. Actually, one of the pivotal members of that team is actually a friend of ours and follows the show. I happen to know, and Aaron Starkey, and we should. Sorry for the call out, Aaron. If you didn't want that, but I would love to talk to him about it.
Absolutely.
What they're doing, because they definitely went and made changes.
For sure,
and for the better. That festival, the model changed on it, and it immediately that festival is always an organic music festival that was like a relaxed kind of a thing, and
it was accessible. Like I remember going when I was a kid, Like my parents would go with
Oh,
me
yeah.
and all my friends, even though I was like 10 years old or whatever. We'd go because it wasn't astronomically expensive to go and just wander around and see bands.
It was an organic,
Yeah.
DIY thing in the beginning. But the thing is like obviously because of festival that we were just talking about, because of festivals being the end all be all for a lot of bands, as far as their paydays and all that, like, festivals in the last 10 years, you know, that put pressure on things like Bumbershoot. I do want to say, that said, the economic tide for festivals has been changing a lot. Like you were just talking about, a lot of them are stopping, shuttering. It's heartbreaking for something like Freak Out, because Freak Out's kind of the festival I like. I like those where they take place at all these different clubs and you just go
me too.
on the street. Those are my ideas. That's my idea of a great festival. I'm not really an outdoors sitting in the mud kind of person, but
Yeah. Well, and so what Freak Out is doing is they're evolving, like we've been saying, is that people are going to have to get creative in this environment right now.
Yeah.
They're evolving into essentially how I read this is they're going to become a promoter of shows throughout the year. And it's a way for them to continue to host artists without that giant financial like burden sitting on them. I think at the end of the article, it says they had a 6-figure expense for the event, which that's crazy. If you don't know you're going to have funding to like start booking bands with contracts and guarantees and all these budgets, that's scary. So
but they had a thing where like they got successful because, like I said, it's a cool model, and they got big, like started doing these like off date stuff, and those were big, and doing like off season festival like in Street One they did in front of the Crocodile. I guess what I'm trying to say is, were they do you think it was they're victims of their growth, or
I mean, I don't think so. I think right now everybody's trying to figure out how big of an impact all this stuff that's currently going on is going to have on the economy, and everybody's wallets are like getting tight and trying to figure out budgets and stuff. So
no, that's true, and that's probably the biggest percentage of everything that's happening.
And especially with like, the president is not giving money to states for government grants for arts and stuff. And if you're a festival that depends on grants, I don't know if they just get it from the state or if it's federal too. But
I mean, a combination. Probably a lot of private grants.
So
I mean, there's a bunch of that stuff. We'll have
all sorts of shit going on.
We'll have to have some grant writer friends come on.
Some people smarter than us on here to talk about it
better, because we're definitely not. But I mean, but as you're saying, there's a bevy of reasons. Economy's obviously number one with the things going down that are going down. I mean, I see this with small business. My wife and I's lives pretty much revolve around small business and people that are in, do that. And it's like everybody's, I'll just tell you right now, everybody's in a pinch.
Yep.
Obviously, things that are, not food and utilities and rent, are going to take a back seat. I don't know, man. It will just have to get. You know what? I think the best thing from here is bring on other people that we know would have great insight.
Yeah.
Because you and I have a roughly similar plate of ideas of why this is all happening, and we're probably pretty on target. But I think there's some people we could talk to like really shine light on some some in between the cracks sort of issues, you know.
Yeah. No, I think
sorry, but I was going to say, I don't know if you saw that one story I noted, where it's a Market Watch article. The Market Watch article actually has a paywall, so I can't even get too far into it. Hey, if anybody knows how to get past that, let me know, because I really want to read that article. I'll tell you why. Because the article is from like a corporate standpoint, but it shows that some of the big corporations that are involved in presenting music are actually turning their resources and attention towards the European and global markets. So less resources from the big boys, or what that article seems to state is that less resources from the big boys will be coming into U.S. markets as far as, putting on shows, festivals, all that kind of stuff. But that they're actually turning their attention to the global market, because the global market is actually showing profit margins and potentials, whereas the U.S. market is not.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, right? So I can just get past that damn paywall. I would love to get a hold of that article, though, because, here's the thing, man. Like, you and I are mostly DIY dudes, and we don't really, we mostly speak to, like, doing your own shows and all that business. But that kind of stuff all has an impact at every level.
For sure.
What we do has an impact on those bigger levels, because the smaller stuff, the smaller cap stuff, is where the trend setting happens, and
you can take a chance in a small room that you're not going to be willing to take in 1,000 cap space.
And corporations do one thing: they watch trends.
Yeah,
that's how they monitor their business, and that's how they make changes. So it does impact one another, and that's why it's like important to know now. For instance, and this is only a hypothetical and for instance, but if the big entities are going to turn their attention more towards the global market, does that mean less of their resources coming into the U.S. market? And does that mean that the indie and underground markets are going to be left up to their own devices? Could that become a positive? I think so, yes.
Oh, I mean, I'm all for that. You know me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because the big players have a keen interest on the smaller clubs. They know where the development is. See, this is interesting, because when I was reading up on the shuttering of 11,000 venues in the UK, what they were talking about is they refer to all like your club where you work at, all those kind of clubs, as seed clubs, where the seed talent is showcased at that level. And they, Europe loves their festivals and all that stuff, so they see it this way. They're okay with it. They've all embraced it. But the thing is, they see the small club stuff as super vital to the existence of the big festival scene and all, because this is where the up and coming bands that everybody wants to see are coming out of. So this is why. But they actually have two things that I want to bring up. They have, of course, subsidized industry, but they also they're talking about, I guess they're pitching, I don't know if it's all the way through, but they're pitching an tax on festival tickets. Like, if you buy a big ticket for a big show, there's going to be a tax levy there that will go directly towards the subsidized smaller clubs. Is that an answer? I can see the US that being like choppy waves, but
yeah,
it could be. I don't want to jump and say that's the answer,
right?
But I want to say let's think about it. Is this the answer? Maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from other people. Again, this is all stuff I want to hear from. I'm really excited, anxious, and excited to get to start talking to other people about this because I want to, But I think it's up to you and I to like open the jar, so to speak.
For sure. I mean, and just hearing you talk about how the big players in the industry look at the small venues, and by extension the small promoters willing to take chances on these up and coming bands as like the seed venues or whatever. That's like where I have a problem with the big players in the industry, because I would, as an independent promoter, take a chance on a small band, lose money on the first show, lose money on the second show. Yeah. Maybe they come back through the third time and the show's finally successful. Then it's like, okay, one of the big promoters in the industry just swoops in and I don't have a chance to make any money off of it. And it's similar for these small venues that take chances on these bands coming through. Maybe they lose money at the small venue, but they're giving a platform to these bands that are coming through. So I honestly think that a ticket levy like that makes sense, because you're not just, as a big promoter or a big festival, you are benefiting from the work that all the band did, number one, but all of the small venues that took chances on these bands to help get them in front of people. And that's the least you could do to pay back those venues, and help keep them afloat. I don't know.
No, you do know. You have.
Yeah. It happened to me way too many times as an independent promoter. I don't have the money, the resources, or whatever
coming out. But no, I get it. I've both lost my own money and I've also helped you lose yours.
It is.
I get it. But the thing is, yes, and that is okay. Here's the thing, though. I would hate to be talking about the stuff we're talking about and then just go off in that direction without.
For sure.
I'll tell you what, that to me is a talk. And this is something else that you and I have been talking about, having this panel discussions.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see maybe an agent or two and a buyer or two and have the discussion, because the thing is, and you and I know, that there used to be a thing. What's the best way to put it? Is like history is not. It feels to me like history is not being as honored as it used to be.
It's not a thing. When I started, it was like history was a thing.
Totally.
And I had no idea what that was when I started.
You and I, when we were working together, would like gear. Our gears were like, we're working towards history.
Yep.
Until we get
if people don't know what that means, it's like when a band comes through on tour. And, specifically for this example, they're represented by a booking agent who books the tour. A lot of times when I was first starting in the early 2000s, the agent would be like, hey, like, can you do me a favor and book this band that I just signed? Nobody really knows who they are, but you'll have history, meaning you take a chance now, you'll get the next show when the band starts doing well, the numbers start kicking in, their new album comes out or whatever. So you lose a little money on the front end, but you're going to benefit down the road because you'll be the one person that, believed in the band enough to take a chance on them. So you'd lose a little money on the first show. Next time they come through, it would potentially be successful. And the agent would honor the history. They would call you up and say, hey, remember what I said? They're going to come through again. You get the show. At some point in the last 15 years, I would be like, hey, like, remember, I have history, like not like assuming that no matter, like if I did a shitty job, I'd get the band again. If I did a good job, the show was successful, everybody was happy, then
of course,
hey, like let's honor history.
Of course.
At some point, I remember bringing that up with some agents and they would be like, history? Get out of here. What the hell are you talking about? Like all of a sudden I looked like an idiot for saying it. And it's not like I was like expecting anything. It just, when I started, that was a thing. And it was, I
got,
didn't even have to bring it up. Agents would tell me, oh, yeah, history. Like, we honor history. It's like a big thing.
they came out with some W.C. Fields shit. Get out of my store, kid. You're messing with my business. Yeah, no. You and I working together a lot back then when that started happening. So it's just very stuck in my head. And, you know, like, sorry, my screen did a weird thing, and I was like, "What's
going on?" I don't even think about history anymore. Like,
no,
I forgot all about it until you just.
I don't either. But I'm just trying to say, you and I worked together a lot back then when that started happening, and I just remember like just being such shock. It was just like, what? And that's the whole thing. Is it's the whole thing about the case we're trying to make about what we do is that, there's not even like good safeguards for that, but you do it because, I feel I can't wait to hear other people's reasons for doing it, but I do it because I don't think there's a better feeling when you have a good show and everything worked well and all the people working together and everybody's stoked at the end of the night. Bands are happy. Everybody's happy. That is like, that's
it's like a symbiotic relationship.
Grand Slam, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And, we were not under any assumptions that just because we were willing to take a chance on a show meant that we were guaranteed the show next time. And that's not how it worked. It was just kind of like, you get first shot at it. If you can get us to the money we need and all the other stuff lines up, then great, you can get the show. But then all of a sudden that shifted, and I was like losing shows to the big players in the industry without ever getting a phone call or anything. Yeah. And it's like, well, then why the hell would I keep doing this? I'm just going to continue to lose money, never make money. So that's why when I closed up my company in 2024, I was like one of the last ones from when I started. I couldn't.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just doing it because I didn't know what else to do.
The margins are getting next to impossible for independent promoters. And you know what? I was going to say, you speak from a lot of experience and, enduring a lot, but I would love to follow up with this stuff with others. I want to hear people's perspectives that have been through it, the ups and downs, all that, why we stick around. But I also want to talk about the future. I mean, we got to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
I just finished a 3-year run at a small club, kind of sort of similar to yours up in Bellingham. And, the one thing we used to say all the time is there's just no margins for independent promoters. Like, and so what happens here by you and I talking about it is all we can really do is bring these topics up to the surface. And then we got to have, you and I already, luckily, we use the fact that we have a lot of years doing this stuff to, bring in people we know to help us, dissect all these topics, because it's what's going to have to take. Because not only we can sit here all day long and gripe about
bitch about shit
not working, but that's not. We need to talk about creative workarounds, creative solutions, how things are going to change. Tell the young up and comers, hey, what to expect, because it's not. Things have changed. A lot of things have changed, and they're going to change. By 2-3 years from now, we're going to be talking about this all over again.
Yeah, so, and there are, like, just to kind of wrap this up.
Cool.
Like, not to say that there aren't independent promoters doing really, really good work, because there are. Freak Out Fest is essentially transitioning into a promoter. There's a lot of people doing really cool stuff. It's just, it feels like there's not as many as when I started. Mm-hmm. I did it because I saw other people, like independent promoters, like Infinite Productions. I was like, oh my God. Like,
well,
this is the person I want to be.
It was easy to get motivated by like Infinite because, they had the cool shirts with, like a
Yeah.
veil jumping off the stage. And, it was just this really exciting. The whole branding was
And
super
all my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
that's the thing.
all my shows, I was like, oh.
And then you could see, like, people that a lot of them became our friends and stuff, but you could see them wearing the Infinite shirts and working stages and stuff. And it was like really, truly independently put together by Miss Lori Lefevre. Let's give her a shout out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, just a total.
That's who inspired me to get into promoting shows. I didn't know
you're not even
anything
yeah.
about it. I was just like, hey, I like these bands. I want to put a show together.
Yeah.
And then maybe one day I'll work with Rancid.
I
remember.
Here's your towel, sir.
I remember calling. I was like 19 or something. I had no idea. I remember calling Rancid's agent and just be like, "Can I book a show for Rancid?" It was so dumb, and she was very nice to me, and I got to work with other bands that she represented.
Yeah,
but thinking back, I'm just like, oh god, that was dumb.
Yeah, but your story didn't end there, did it?
No,
right,
but
with that agent. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No,
came in very green, but I said, I'm just trying to say that your relationship and story did not end there with that person.
Yep. No, that was those were good times. There was a lot of dumb things, but people were really nice, and that's kind of what we want to continue.
Yeah.
We want to continue to put that out into the world. Is like
you persevered because of your way of being and your way of dealing with people.
Well, thanks.
A lot of people liked dealing with you, and so eventually doors started, opening up. But I want to talk about all this stuff. Like I said, I feel like I feel like we need to bring on some guests to help talk about some of those really big issues because I think they're multi-pronged. I still, obviously we're both still huge fans of this whole thing and what we do and being part of it and all that. So it's important to us to utilize what we have, which is our knowledge to kind of, we could forewarn, but also bring people on that could maybe actually be like, no, these two dudes are idiots. Like,
hey, I would love to.
Yeah, do it this way.
I want to learn, man.
I'm okay. Yeah, you know what? I've never shut myself off to learning. That's what I love about this shit because I don't. It's because of that. It encourages me to learn because there's always newer, smarter, someone else has done it a different way. There's always all kinds of, and the thing is, as we face all of these obstacles and societal issues and so forth, you have to learn how to pivot and you have to learn how to see things differently and do things differently to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. So let's bring on a bunch of people and talk about all that.
Yes. Speaking of, next week, we're going to have Ethan, who I work with. He's going to be on the show. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff.
Is that his name?
Yep. Ethan's awesome. He is a bartender. He's in multiple bands. He goes on tour. He settles shows. He's there at Loaded. He does everything. And he does booking too. So he's
a utility person that, every independent venue is usually doing what they're doing because of a person like this. I've had the great fortune to have people believe in me and let me be that person, and it's takes a ton of energy, but honestly I just remember my desire to do it outweighed everything. But I dig that about Ethan. I dig that we're gonna get to talk to a person who literally has to do almost every job, and sometimes in one day. And I think that's gonna be it's gonna be a good experience for people who have not had to do that, and maybe are interested in, like, getting into this, understand a person like Ethan is like basically vital to the existence of a small venue, because there's no way you can hire for all those positions, because you can't sustain it. You need a person that can essentially do it all.
Yep.
So
Yep.
And man.
Yeah, and before we sign off, like, I wanted to touch on something that we want to start working into the episodes, and those are what we're kind of calling 101s.
Right.
We're going to be bringing up topics, and we're going to be doing just kind of like a brief overview of what that is. So essentially, like, booking 101, tour managing 101, venue production 101, merch 101, like all sorts of stuff like that. And
we're going to start with 101.
101s.
Hopefully touch on every department, right?
Yeah.
Just ask. Yeah. And
as best we can explain them.
Yeah. And then from there, follow-ups to, next level ups will be probably with people that are specialized in those jobs.
Yep.
And can give a much better explanation, more concise explanation to things. Yeah, I'm really excited to get those 101s going, man, because they're going to be fun. Sure. It'll make sense as we have, like, maybe let's say some agents and some managers and some people like Ethan or in the trenches that make everything happen. As we start having these people on, it'll make sense to have some 101s so that people that don't work in this industry can put it together. Yep. Oh, this person does that task. I get it now.
Yep.
Because I hope that everybody remembers that this show is for the people in the trenches now, the people doing this every day, but it's also for the people that don't and just like to go to shows or whatever, and maybe just are interested in, the lives of all the band of pirates that make this thing happen. So
the mechanics of how this all works, because it's a big giant machine with a lot of people doing a lot of jobs, wearing multiple hats,
and a lot of times there's no money for all the different jobs. You have to kind of like be that person. So anyway, again, super excited that we're gonna have somebody like that next week.
And great.
Look forward to real quick before you do the closing stuff. Look forward to actively talking to some people in Europe who are at the kind of on the front lines of raising awareness about the venue shuttering. I would love to talk. I'm definitely working on bringing them aboard for some episodes to talk about the situation, but also I'm going to be seeking to find out, what are the creative workarounds? What's everybody doing? And then I look forward to, I know with Ethan, we'll get to talk about the alcohol sales issue.
Yep.
But after that, I think we probably look for some more follow-up with other players at different levels, maybe liquor reps, especially liquor reps which we know a few liquor reps that are in bands.
Venue owners.
Exactly. And work and fulfill the venue orders. I actually know a few people that are in bands that are liquor reps that do service venues. That would actually be a great perspective to hear from, because you sit here and you talk about like the perspective that we know, but that's only like one side of it. Let's hear it from I would like to know about the people, because there's a whole nother industry right there that was relying on liquor sales to exist. So
and another part of the industry that's changed from when I first started doing this, like, obviously things change, I get it, but like there used to be extra money with some of these beer companies. Like PBR would sponsor shows. That money dried up. They're not doing that so much anymore.
Hell yeah. Oh no, dude. In my first forays of booking, I was lucky because I started my first bigger booking jobs were all right at the peak of like PBR just throwing you money and
Yeah.
sponsorship stuff and cool things like packs of socks and I feel like it was such a like huge help
Yeah.
for me to like, oh shit, all of a sudden I have to like, get 500 people in here, and this might be the biggest, booking gig I've ever had. But then I'd have resources.
Yeah.
Now going from, sorry, real quick, but going from like, small, 150 people to 500 and not having anything, to any external forces to help you. I mean, there's other people I want to talk to right there. Those people that make it happen at that level. So yeah, I don't know, dude.
Before we close out, we didn't quite have time to fit this in the way we wanted to, but the National Independent Venue Association is
thank you.
We can't end this without at least.
No, you're right, man. You're right.
Some eyes on this, because they have been massive, for all of the stuff we complain about. We are lucky in the United States to have this organization supporting independent music venues. So go to the NIVA site, support them any way that you can if you care about music. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, real quick. I just want to point out they have reports like this for every single state. You can see the economic impact. I pointed out to Ian earlier, the profitability in Washington is 40%. The average is 62%. So we obviously have an issue here that, maybe we can get some people to chime in on.
Yeah.
But the NIVA study is super important. This is the state of live. This is the national report. And you can see there how this industry basically exists. And you can see there's some glaring challenges.
Yeah.
So man. Well,
thanks I want to do a deeper dive on NIVA, and
I actually know some people, and you do too, that have worked directly with NIVA, and especially when they were forming during COVID and all those studies and stuff. We know some people on the inside of that, so we should get them in here too.
Yep, for sure. But we'll definitely be coming back to that one. And a lot of these things, we just wanted to touch on a bunch of stuff today just to kind of set up some future conversations we're going to have.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in and letting us talk for a long time.
I know we got it. But, like,
it is what it is.
Subscribing.
Yep. Yeah. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends. We've been like super humbled to see how many people have been checking it out and all of our content we've been trying to put out there. We're still kind of dialing all that stuff in, but posting questions in the comment section or just comments in the comment section is great. We're trying to respond to those. We've had some. That's awesome.
We talked about that in our meeting. Please. We'd love to hear people's opinions on these topics, man. They're if you work in the industry, it's going to affect you one way or the other. If it's not already affecting you, if you're a person who wants to work in the industry, we're definitely not telling people you shouldn't. We want people to, but we want you to know what you're getting into, because unfortunately I've seen a lot of really immensely talented people leave for other industries because they weren't prepared for the ins and outs. So that's what we hope to do here with everybody.
Yep. So you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/backstage with Ian and Joel. And next week we're going to be talking to Ethan again. Super excited about that. And we'll see you guys next time backstage. Thank you.